Yesterday, as I was falling asleep, I had a lot of challenging thoughts of feeling like I should be doing more, that there is something missing, that something needs to be figured out. And then, in the middle of these thoughts, I just realized that it's all fucking bullshit. Like, it's all bullshit. All of these thoughts that are coming to me in this moment are just such bullshit. And they have nothing to do with this moment or what it is that I want in my life or what it is that I'm seeking or anything. They're just straight up bullshit. And I'm coming in here today because I have a very important video to make, and it's all about your inner child. And that for most of us, our inner child is actually holding us back from everything that we want in life. Because that is when we get caught up in these thoughts of feeling like, oh, I'm missing out, or oh, these people got it figured out, or oh, my manifestation is not getting closer, or oh, this or that. That all of those thoughts that we have in that nature, that lacking nature, comes from our inner child. And it is also these thoughts that kind of makes it so that it becomes hard, or I should say impossible, to receive the things that we want, because we're still operating in that space where we have challenging thoughts that creates challenging emotions, which is the combination that manifests and attracts everything in our life. But here's the thing. This state where it feels like repetitive, or it feels like we're again having these thoughts, or again this same pattern is playing out in our lives, that it's always happening because our inner child, our ego, that part of our ego, doesn't feel loved, doesn't feel accepted, doesn't feel like it belongs, or something in that nature. That is why all of these thoughts comes up, because we're not at peace with our inner self. Your higher self, which I'm sure that if you found this video, you heard a little bit about, that there is a higher part of you, a higher self, that goes beyond this body and beyond the emotions, beyond the mind of this lifetime that you have here. Your soul, that you can live your life with this shining through you, being authentic with the more deeper aspect of who it is that you are. And this is kind of what we're all searching for, to live from the heart without judgment, to live from the heart as we truly are, without any sort of imposed limitation on it, but simply as allowing that to shine through and act on anything that we feel like acting on, just being here, living from the heart. So the inner child is a reaction to the heart instead. Because as we're growing up, we learn that, oh, as I'm being this type of person, as I'm crying or speaking my needs or doing whatever thing it is, that, oh, that means that in some cases, as the environment around us, as our family or whatever is reacting strongly to us, we think that, oh, I'm not loved. I'm not loved in this moment, as I'm experiencing this emotion. And then we create these thoughts as to be distracted from this emotion. And then these thoughts start to take over our lives more and more and more and more. We start having overthinking thoughts. We start having these insecurities and all of these different type of adaptations that you can get, these addictions and so on. They just start multiplying. And this pattern of being in a repeating cycle just keeps on happening, because we keep on doing the same thing, being in the same reactive space to the world within us, instead of allowing it to shine through and be accepted. Because we have these stories and beliefs tied to it, that if this happens, I'm not good enough. There needs to be a balance. There needs to be a peace with your inner child, in order for you to transcend this place that you've been in for the longest time. And I had a very powerful realization yesterday as I was falling asleep. I was falling asleep and I had these repeating thoughts happening all over again, that I've had many times after I've been committed to something or doing something. I feel like, oh, it's not working out, or I don't know if it's right or wrong, and I'm feeling, just very confused and kind of hopeless in some cases. And then I realized in the middle of it that, oh, this is bullshit. Like, all of this that I'm thinking about right now is just fucking bullshit. And I just started to look at it from a more deeper aspect or deeper perspective, and I realized to myself that there is a part of me, this Andreas part of me, which is my name, which is my identity for this lifetime, these stories and these beliefs, that feels unloved in this moment. And as long as I'm thinking and trying to figure out and trying to do the right thing here, then I am completely opposed to what it is that this part of me actually needs. Because this part of me doesn't need a change, it needs love, unconditional love and acceptance. That's the inner child, it always needs love and unconditional love and acceptance. Because that is when it finds peace in this moment, and your higher self can start to shine through, because there is space for your higher self to take the stage now. Because the inner child doesn't need to fight for its survival anymore. So as this was happening to me yesterday, I realized that, oh my god, all these thoughts that just keep coming up, I feel that something is off and I need to figure something out. And then it's like, no, I don't need to fucking figure anything out. It's not that I need to figure something out in this moment or change something. That is what I'm looking for in this moment. It's just to realize that all of this is just fucking bullshit. All of this that I'm thinking in this moment, all of these issues and these worries and stuff, it's just fucking bullshit. And I just put my hand on my heart and I just realized all of a sudden that this part of me that is Andreas, this inner child also that is part of Andreas, just needs fucking love and acceptance in this moment. And I just put my hands on my heart and I just kind of slowly fell asleep and I just told myself, I love you, I love you, I love you. And I didn't stop saying it until I pretty much fell asleep. Because that is what we're seeking in that moment when we get lost in those thoughts. We're looking for peace with who it is that we are on that level of the inner child. Because the inner child is what creates all of these resistance that is being created within our mind, that feels like we need to do something, we need to get somewhere, we need to achieve something. Because only then will I have that love, even though that's never the case. But it can become a belief to think that if I am this person, if I am doing this thing, then I will finally be loved, I will be accepted. But that's not the case. Only you can make that realization and snap into that unconditional loving nature towards your inner child in this moment, which is just that of open, heartfelt awareness. Because the inner child and the ego and the Andreas, which is me, is not the deep essence of who I am or who it is that you are. We are just at our core source consciousness, love at its highest form. And the more that you can sit in that loving awareness over the inner child and send your love to it, the more it's going to start to feel loved. Because we start feeling like we are not loved, because we are so attached to all of these mechanisms and stuff, and that just keeps the cycle perpetual and just keeps it moving, keeps it all the same all the time, because we keep trying to change things. Because that change is originating from a place of feeling like we don't have that unconditional love. But when you snap out of that and bring your awareness back into who it is that you really are, this open awareness. I had another really powerful realization the other night. And I think it was the first time in my life where I realized that I'm not this little person looking out into the world. I am everything looking into the world. It's the first time in my life that I really had that realization. And yeah, it was really cool. And I just realized also in that moment that it's time to be aware of this part of me, this inner child, and not see myself as the inner child anymore. And realize that this inner child needs my love as the big awareness that I am, the consciousness that I am. And I simply need to allow myself to be with this part of me and show it love through not trying to change it. Because that is when it starts getting its need met, which is that of what it always wanted, but before it looked to get it from the family, from our friends, our surrounding, our environment. It looked to get that love and validation. But now, after all these years, it's time to just give you that love and validation yourself. Give that love and validation to this part of you. Because until this balance is found between your higher self and your inner child, the inner child will always take over the stage and push the higher self to the side, because it needs to get this love and validation. Because otherwise it doesn't feel safe, and it's going to not feel good, and it's going to fight for attention. But when you snap out of also perhaps the identity of thinking that you are all of these issues, you are these emotions, you are these thoughts, and you realize that this is not me. This is not fucking me. Take a deep breath. Breathe a little bit. Most likely, just like me, you probably held your breath down for a long time and you realize that, oh, I can breathe a whole lot deeper, because that is what happens when you live a lot through these programs and try to suppress the emotional state. But you start breathing a little bit. You connect back to your raw, authentic self, to your higher self. And you realize that this part of you that's been hijacking your attention so deeply just needed this. You needed the peace and calm so that it could feel seen. Because all of these thoughts and very challenging things that we're going through in our lives only ever arises because of this tantrum for attention that the ego or inner child throws through all of these challenges and problems that we have, so that we can wake up to finally give that part of us the unconditional love that it's always sought. It's just that it didn't even itself understand that it needed this. It just was upset. And so it's like thinking and like trying to do a bunch of things, and it's confusing. It doesn't understand like why things are not working or why I'm in this place or that place. But all of that is just fucking irrelevant. And it all moves to the side. And you start to become free to be who it is that you really are. To feel peace and satisfaction and fulfillment in the things that you're doing as you start operating as your higher self. And it's all available to you now in this moment. So, find the peace and balance with your inner self, with your inner child, by giving it the unconditional love through your open awareness. By first also realizing that you are not this inner child, but that this is a small part of the whole being of who you are. But that it needs to be taken care of. This part of you that is bound in time to this lifetime needs to be in balance with this infinite self that you truly are. They need to work together in order for the higher self that you are to take the stage, where everything in your life just is fucking amazing.